This woman fell in love with a guy on her train who never knew. Then, a year on, she gave him a note. Have you ever fallen for someone on a train but didn't have the courage to say hi? Don't worry, hundreds of people have probably done exactly the same thing. And countless more spend their morning commutes avoiding eye contact and going on with their days, never knowing what could have been if only they'd looked up. Well, Zoë Folbigg was almost one of them, until she finally decided to give her mystery man a note. In July of 2003, Zoe was on her usual 8:21 a.m. train from Hitchin, England to London. That's when she first spotted a handsome stranger also walking on the platform. And then she saw the man, who unbeknownst to her is called Mark, every day and admired him from afar. Without the confidence to approach him, Zoe first started to dress up in a bid to grab his attention. She wore more makeup, styled her hair, and purposely sat in the same train carriage as him each day. During this time, she noticed that they had a lot in common, as he was always lost in books or magazines of the kind that she reads. Commuting is quite a dreary experience. The same characters, no one talks, delays. Then one day this new person walked up the platform. Zoe told the Sun, "I thought he was the most beautiful man I'd ever seen. It was definitely love at first sight. I know that sounds crazy, but that's how I felt." Completely besotted, Zoe nicknamed him Train Man, and he became a core topic of conversations among friends and coworkers. "I was working at a teen magazine at the time, and Train Man became a talking point in the office," she said. "Friends would ask me if I'd seen him and what he was wearing. They encouraged me to talk to him, but I didn't feel confident enough." One of her friends did eventually convince Zoe to try to spark a conversation, though, and they even came up with a plan. The idea was that Zoe would sit near him and accidentally drop her train ticket. The man would then pick it up, hand it to her, and conversation would naturally flow. This was not how things went, however. The ticket lay on the floor for what felt like an excruciatingly long time, she explained to This Morning. "I pretended I hadn't noticed. He picked it up and handed it to me, but I completely froze. I squeaked, 'Thanks,' then went back to my books. I was just too shy to make a move." Her silent infatuation then continued for nearly a year until May of 2004. It was Zoe's 28th birthday, and she made the brave decision to finally make contact with her dream man. So she wrote a note and planned to give it to him as they arrived at King's Cross Station that morning. The note read, "It's my birthday, and I think everyone should do something frivolous on their birthday, and this is my thing. I think you look lovely. If you'd like to go for a drink, here's my email address. If not, happy travels, and I'll leave you in peace." But just as the train pulled into the station, her confidence dwindled and nerves took hold. Instead, Zoe walked off the train without going through with her plan. It then took her another 11 days to build up the courage to hand the note over. When she finally did, however, she received a devastating response. "He had hay fever and was sneezing into a tissue when I said, 'Excuse me, can I give you this?'" she explained. "He looked baffled and asked me to repeat what I'd said, which was excruciating. He eventually took the note and I walked away as fast as I could." At 5 p.m. that same day, Zoe received an email with his response. It read, "Thank you, that was a lovely thing to do. I'd never have the guts to do something like that, but unfortunately, I have a girlfriend, and I don't think she'd like it if we went for a drink. Happy birthday. Hope you have a nice day." Zoe felt awful about the situation. "Basically, thanks but no thanks in a very nice way," she recalled. "I was gutted and mortified that I had to tell everyone." She didn't allow it to get the better of her, however. She even saw other men, although it never went further than a first date. Meanwhile, Zoe continued taking the same train to work, having to awkwardly see her crush at the station. "I got in the same carriage because I knew I'd have to see him at some point. He was sweet, smiled at me, and blushed, but thankfully her embarrassment didn't last forever." 8 months later, on January 28, 2005, Zoe received the email that she'd been longing for. He said his circumstances had changed and asked if I still fancied a drink, she explained. "It was the best email I'd ever had in my entire life. I squealed and all my mates were so excited. We went out the next night in town where we live." Their first date, which Zoe had long envisioned, was just as she dreamed, and she now refers to him as Beautiful Mark rather than Train Man. "I had such high hopes, and it had been so built up, and we just clicked," she recalled. "He said he'd noticed me. He said he thought I had sparkly eyes, which was nice. His relationship had ended about a month after I gave him the note, but that was nothing to do with it. It wasn't long before their relationship flourished. In fact, he moved in with her after only 3 months. And they did what so many dream of: quit their jobs, and traveled the world. 3 happy years later, Mark also decided to propose. And where better to do it than in the same setting in which they met? Yes, he proposed to her on a train, albeit one in Australia, and the couple subsequently married in 2009. Today, the married couple have 2 children, Felix, age 7, and 5-year-old Max. Their love story is so romantic and surprising that it's almost like it came from a movie or a book. And funnily enough, Zoe actually decided to write all of it into a novel, The Note, which was published in October of 2007. She told her incredible story on This Morning, where she spoke in more detail about how she turned the experience into a novel. The note is based on my experiences, but I didn't want to make it autobiographical, she said. It's fiction, so there are more juicy bits. Zoe and Mark's love story has also inspired those in similar situations to become romantics and optimists. Indeed, she's received emails from strangers all around the world about how they've now had the courage to hand over notes during their commutes. It's amazing to know how much impact a single message can have. All you need is the courage to pass it on. Please don't forget to share this video with your friends below. Please don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell to receive everything that's new.